Hello, everyone, and welcome to Creative Fundraising. You see, I have my sword, so I am ready to create not chaos, but actually peace. With me today is Rob and Rebecca, and as you can see, we have a game here, Hero Quest. So there's something going on, and it has to do with the South Park Inn. I met you at Retro World Expo many moons ago. What was it about that expo that made you talk about this game and your fundraising for the inn?
Well, so I created a charity called Dungeons of Hope back in 2016 with a group of friends, some of them high school friends, elementary school friends. And one of those friends, Adam, came up with the idea to take our charity and showcase it at Retro World, because he's a big video game nerd, we'll call him. And it was all his idea, and I found that building a great team is really what gets you places. So he told me about the idea to go to Retro World. He reached out to Retro World's leadership. Mm-hmm. They said, we're looking for basically a charitable organization to support amongst all the other vendors we're going to have. And so we fit right in. It was the perfect time for us. And so since 2018, we've been doing Retro World
Since
annually.
2018?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
The response of the people that have been there and seen you talking about the game, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, in 2018, when we were first kind of coming onto the scene, not many people knew about the game Hero Quest. Mm-hmm. Back then, it wasn't being produced. It was a game from my childhood in the 80s and 90s. So it was very difficult to talk to people about a game that they knew nothing about. And what we were doing with the game and raising money for the South Park Inn homeless shelter was something very unique. So it took a lot of communicating with people over and over and over again. But once they understood what we were doing, once we kind of got across to them how much fun we were having giving back, people were all about it. They loved it, and people were signing up even if they never played the game before. So reception was very good, but it did take a lot of talking, a lot of communicating what it is and why we created this to get people on board.
Have you found that as you go forward with Retro World Expo that it has become easier for you to get people to sign up?
Yeah, so word of mouth has certainly helped. Because we come back year over year, there's sort of that continuity that comes with it. So people come back and they say, oh, you're the Dungeons of Hope guys. Maybe we'll finally do it this year and play with you guys. And then Hasbro re-released the game without us even knowing it when we started this journey. A couple of years ago, they did a Kickstarter, which is where this board actually came from, the Kickstarter campaign. So you can see it's all brand new.
What's different about this one versus the older one?
Yeah, a lot of it's pretty much the same. The graphics are somewhat the same, but they're sort of modernized and redone. Figures are a little bit different in that some of the characters had to change, mainly due to ownership of rights to the characters from the classic game to the new game, but most of the characters are still the same. You still have the same barbarian, dwarf, elf, and wizard main characters, and a lot of the monsters are the same. The beautiful thing about this game, the classic and the new release version, is you could see your dungeon. You could see the adventure, which is people like me who aren't very, I don't want to say, we need a lot of assistance to imagine sometimes, and so that's what this game gives you, is that assistance. So when you explore the board is initially empty. As you roll, as you enter a corridor, enter a room, that's when the board comes to life for that specific space on the board.
Now, these cards, what are their significance?
There are cards that represent treasures you can find in the quest, or spells that you start off with. If you're a wizard or an elf, you get special abilities that the barbarian or the dwarf don't have. However, they have more strength and body points, so they can withstand a lot of physical abuse.
So let's say I was the dungeon master and I took out my sword and I'm like, all right, guys, you see, we got a monster right here. But if I use my sword for the heroes, then it's an easy battle. Could I do that?
Well, as a dungeon master, you have control of all the monsters on the board. So some monsters are weak skeletons that have a simple dagger, let's say. Some
I'm saying, to add a little bit more pizzazz.
Yeah. So to answer your question, like that? You are encouraged as a dungeon master or a Zargon, which is what the game calls it, to be more colorful, right? When you kill someone, you how did you do it? Was there blood splattered against the wall? And that's all part of the experience that Dungeons of Hope creates when people come to our fundraisers. We want people to get lost, and we want people to as much as possible think they're actually in a real dungeon in medieval times in a fantasy world. fighting monsters for the good. And ultimately that good is to raise money for the South Park Inn.
Now, Rebecca, now that you know a little bit about this, can you see how people can get really amped up about it and excited, to get their groove on?
Absolutely, because I have never played this before, but I am really excited to learn more about it and to maybe play one day myself.
All right.
It seems really cool, and also I like the visuals, right? I like having that to transport you to another world.
Please tell us about the organization.
Sure. South Park Inn has been serving homeless folks since 1984. They started the organization in 82, opened the doors to the emergency shelter in 84, and we have been serving individual men and women. We did serve families up until the pandemic, but with COVID it just got a little touchy. So now we serve individuals, we serve veterans, and we serve those coming out of the hospital who just need a little bit more stability than going out into the community, right? But don't need the care that the hospital would provide. Yeah, those are our three main programs. At South Park Inn, we really transform lives. We're not just an emergency shelter. So we provide a bed and we provide 3 meals. We're open 24/7 so that folks who don't have somewhere to go during the day, they can stay with us. But we offer case management services. So for folks who are there during the day, they can meet with their case manager. They can work on their housing plan. They can work on finding employment or connecting to resources that they may need. We really focus on providing services with compassion and care and believing in people's ability to change.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, we partner with many different organizations to offer other services as well. So we have a mental health clinic as well as a physical health clinic on site. We work with UConn to provide educational groups around various issues. We work with CCAR to provide recovery groups. We really try and treat the person as a whole person and touch on everything that could be going on with them, from the spiritual to the physical to the mental to housing, all of that.
So what I would like to ask you is, when you're running a facility like this, is it hard to come up with revenue to keep this place going?
Yes, absolutely. So we are braided funding, right? So none of our grants cover an entire program. So we have our emergency shelter where we get state funding. That state funding does not cover all of the expenses for emergency shelter. So we have to apply for foundation grants. We have to ask for individual donations, corporate donations. Our veterans program does not cover the whole veterans program. So again, we're asking for donations, whether they're in-kind donations, clothing, food, or monetary donations. All of that really helps us to provide the services that we do.
Now, if someone watching on TV or on the internet would want to donate clothes or food or anything else, where can they reach you guys?
The best place to reach us is at southparkinn.org, and there's a donate page where you can make a financial donation. There's also a page if folks want to do a clothing or a food drive for us. We even have a poster that they can download and put out into the community. Yeah.
Robert?
Yes.
I mean, Rob. You have such an interesting name, and I like using Robert because it's more proper, at least from my point of view. How much money have you raised for this awesome organization?
Well, yeah, we did our first event in 2017. Since 2017, we've done an annual event in 17, 18, 19. Because of the pandemic, we had to skip a couple of events and did our last one last year. We've raised over $23,000 net for the South Park Inn since we've been doing this, playing this board game. And we've been growing over time, the number of players that have been coming to our events. And in fact, a special event in 2019 is when we had the creator of this game, Stephen Baker, who created this back in the 80s, maybe even the 70s.
Well, look at you, man.
Yeah, so
big wigging over here. Well,
he thought, this is amazing, what they're doing with my game, several decades later after it was first envisioned. So we thought he would enjoy it, and he really did. The creator of the game that we love and has made this whole thing happen is very supportive of what we're doing. So
that's great.
Yeah, it feels really good.
That's awesome.
I have to ask both of you. Now, because this is helping out the homeless, have you ever been through hard times that, making you relate more to the struggle of trying to find a place to sleep when you don't have nowhere else to go?
Well, I fortunately have not personally been impacted by homelessness, but I have had friends that have gone through hard times more than once. So I know the struggles they go through, how hard things can be, and it's not something that they were looking for, right? It's just something that kind of falls upon people sometimes. I also have a property that I rent out to some tenants, and I've gotten to know the struggles that they've gone through to keep making rent, to holding a job, to putting food on the table. So that experience in renting out to those folks has brought me closer to I think society and the community and their needs and the understanding of what's going on and struggles that everyday people are going through. So that's partly why I wanted to help out and help in homelessness in this fun way is because of that journey that I personally have been on and through that experience in renting out to a variety of different folks.
And I have never experienced homelessness myself, but that's because I have an amazing support system. So I have definitely been through some traumas in my life where I could have easily ended up homeless if it weren't for the support of my family and my friends and just them always being there and willing to, I've moved back into my parents' house more times than I can count, right? But had they had decided that they were done with me, if they had, that they couldn't deal with my BS anymore, I easily could have been homeless myself. So I understand the trauma that our folks have experienced, and I understand the challenges that they face in overcoming that trauma, right?
And I think that in our own way, we are helping our neighbors, which is very important.
Absolutely.
It's something that even if you're going through hard times, or if you see like, I'm this or I'm that, there should be no division. We're all human beings. We all should be able to bring forth joy and understanding in any means necessary.
Absolutely.
So, Rob, do a quick scenario.
Be happy to.
All right.
So the game essentially begins with 4 heroes lined up, ready to enter the dungeon.
Okay.
They roll, I have 1 die here, but there's normally 2. You roll, and then that's when your journey begins, right? You say, let's open this door. This one happens to already be open. What's inside? And then that's when I'll put this bookshelf here, for instance. I'll put this skeleton here, and luckily for the hero, there's another monster in there. So now the hero can go in knowing how the room is laid out, where the monsters are, what the challenge is. The heroes amongst themselves can decide who goes in first. Do we want to send the barbarian in with a sword? Do we want to have the wizard use a spell based on how challenging the monsters are? It's really a team game. Those are team decisions that are often made. But sometimes you have a rogue hero that wants to just go in for the glory and get the gold and kill the monsters, and then so you have that from time to time. So what makes this game and our environment that we create so great is that there's a constant conflict. Do I go and do what's best for me and get all the points, or do I do what's best for the team and are we stronger together?
Okay. In the fundraiser that's happening next month in the 11th, how is this a bit different? Is there any advantages to donating, perhaps?
Yeah, so we kind of modeled this board game experience, charity gaming experience, like a marathon almost, where you have pledges, right? So you have people that sign up to play this game, whether they go in individually or as a team, and then once they register, they get a fundraising page set up for them through Give Lively, which is a platform we use.
Okay.
And then once they have some fundraising page set up with a picture, their story, why they're doing this, why this is important to them, they send it out to their friends, family, coworkers through email, and then they ask for donations, $5, $15, $50, $100. All the money that hero raises is obviously pulled together, and we convert that to gold coins for them. So when they actually come to the game, the event, we keep track of everything they raise. We give them their gold coins. Now they can go to the armory at the event before the games begin and purchase swords, crossbows, whatever they can afford that'll give them that advantage, that edge in the game, which will allow them to collect more points because they'll have more kills, they'll stay alive longer. And again, at the end of the event, at the end of the 2 quests, we add up all the scores of all the heroes, And those that rise to the top as a team and individually get the first choice of the top prizes that are donated by our sponsors.
All right.
So that's how it works. And that's
Can you share any of the sponsored items?
Yeah, well, we have several that are donated every year by great folks like at the Yard Goats. The Yard Goats organization puts together a nice
fantastic.
basket for us. We have some gift certificates at some local restaurants, for instance. We have some fun wands that are created from glass that are painted and are beautiful, made by a local vendor. So a lot of different things for people to choose from. We have donated board games, brand new board games that are not HeroQuest, but are other games like it that are available too. So something for, I think, everyone.
Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm going to draw some adventures for this epic event. Oh yeah, a bit of an artist myself.
Oh, excellent.
So I'll draw a funny looking wizard and a funny looking warrior, in a cartoon style. And I'll have that as a few artwork made by yours truly, so that people can have fun and have a memento for their grand adventure here. After all, we are helping the homeless, and that is very awesome.
And Pito, I would say if everyone did a little something within their means, whatever they can do just to help out, bring awareness, whatever cause that's important to them, whether it's fighting homelessness, whether it's fighting trafficking, or doing something that's pro-earth, pick one, do something, and help build that legacy. And that's really what we're trying to do. Is you can't take money with you, but you can leave behind a legacy that will inspire others and inspire other generations, and have that cascading effect to make the world better and better, not worse and worse.
So Rebecca, any last minute things that you'd like to share with the people?
I just want to say thank you for having us. This was super exciting. I'm very excited for the event on the 11th. I will be there bartending, so come on down, come see us.
Now, I am on medication, so non-alcoholic for me, please.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Rob, you're awesome, man. Come here.
Thanks, Pito.
Always awesome. Always a pleasure talking to you. Everyone, this is going to happen right here in Hartford. Please give the location so that people can come down and participate.
It's at the very old City Steam Brewery, with a building with a lot of character. It's been around since the mid-1800s, I would say. Doors open at 3 o'clock. Event goes till about 9:30 when the awards are handed out. Great beer, great times, great food. It's a can't miss event.
Thank you so much.